Alright, here's an update on my truck. Took it for its first trip. Went up to New Hampshire, running with the normal group, and did great. The diesel just lugs right along. No issues there at all. Motor ran flawlessly. The only thing we even ran into was the fan shroud was hitting the fan because the body has been lifted 1 inch. And it was just annoying more than anything. No mechanical problems, which is great. It's always nice to put a motor in and just have stuff work like it's supposed to the first time. So, what all has changed since the last time I did anything on this truck? 1 inch body lift from Off-Road Design. Let's see if I can get a shot of one of the pucks here. You can see it right there. They are aluminum. They are not rubber or steel, but aluminum spacers. They did include bolts, but since this is a Stepside, it needed a little bit different kit. So I did get some custom bolts and things like that. I did lift the bed as well. It didn't need to be, but I'll go over why I did the body lift in the first place. So, this truck, after I completed most of my modifications there, the problem was I didn't have an emergency brake, and for state inspection you need a working emergency brake. I have rear disc conversion happening on this thing. I don't know if you guys can see it, but over on the other axle there is a disc brake rotor and caliper and all that good stuff. So I needed a way to change over the disc brakes to utilize a parking brake. So what I did to accomplish this was that I took a couple different options and kind of ended up going with the best one out of the two. The first option I had was to use Eldorado rear calipers. I tried that for a while. They sucked. I really don't like them. I don't like mechanical over hydraulic parking brakes in general. I think they're kind of a lousy way to do it. Emergency brake in the hat of the rotor I think is a lot better system. But because of the Eldorado's not working that great, and the fact that running emergency brake cables from the frame mount, which is that hole right there, down to the axle, now you need to have cables that are long to allow the flex in the suspension, which mine didn't before. So I couldn't reuse my old cables anyway. I just came to the conclusion that it'd be easier to run a driveline parking brake, and that's exactly what I did. So there's that beast right there. That is from TSM Manufacturing. I think it's the Street Rod Manufacturing Company or something like that. And what I'm running is their NP205 disc and bracket set, and I'm also utilizing my stock factory cable. It's not the best way to do it, but it does work. And that chain there is kind of my flexible link, if you will. Chain works great for these kind of situations where you don't want to build a linkage and you don't have a long enough cable. It's a great joining between the two. It's flexible, so that worked pretty well. If you don't have a fixed yoke MP205, you could not use this kit, so really was a great option for me. As you can see, my cable kind of contacts that pipe, but once the turbo goes in, that exhaust pipe is not going to be there anymore. So I got the emergency brake on there. Now, the reason that I went with the 1 inch ORD body lift, the first thing was I didn't know if I was going to have tire interference in the front. I knew the bed was going to be fine, but turning and flexing over things, sometimes you get tire rub. So I was thinking of either hacking my fenders more or putting in a body lift. I was leaning more towards the fenders, but the body lift kind of came with a couple other benefits. The second benefit being is that it gave me more clearance between that rotor and the top of the bottom of my cab floor, top of the transfer case. So actually now I can put I can rotate this bracket up there using the other bolt holes, and it'll get my caliper out of the way. and also put that cable and everything up higher, so again it won't be in the way. So that's definitely a possibility of something that may or may not happen. It works fine as it is, but I would like to get a little more ground clearance away from that caliper. Let's see what else we did. Oh, and then the third thing. The third benefit to doing the 1-inch body lift was that I gained a little bit of clearance between my bumper and here, about 1 inch or so. As you can see before, every time it would flex, the frame flexes differently than your body. It kind of twists, and as it was doing so, it was rubbing right here, and you can see my bumper got into the fender right there. So not a good situation. So given that little bit of added room, now the bumper can twist and the radiator support can twist at their different rates and not contact each other, which is good. The other place that it helped me was back here with my new bumper. You can see that gap right there. I'm going to actually raise the bumper up. If you look at my brackets, I have room to move the entire bracket up on the frame. I'm going to drill in new holes to bolt it in, and then I'm also going to put an L bracket underneath and bolt to the bottom of the frame, so it's going to be tied in with at least, I would say, at least 6 bolts on each side, so it should make it really stout. This thing is built out of heavy material, so it's going to be perfect for towing, which is why I wanted this bumper. It's really beefy, but also for the towing. Also, we're going to be sectioning it right here, taking out this entire, from right about there, and chopping out this entire diamond plate piece, and then sucking this corner in, so right underneath the tail light, so it's not exposed so much. Right now it kind of protects my fenders, which is kind of cool, but I would kind of like to tuck it and then maybe angle cut the bottom just to give myself a little more clearance. Tires did awesome. I only spun a tire once, and that's because I was in 2-wheel drive for most of it. But these tires, they're down to 15 to 12 psi with the beadlock, so you know it won't come off. I mean, you get grip all day. They work perfectly. Pretty good on the road too. On the way home they started shaking, so I'm going to be pulling them all off and checking the torque on all my spacers and the lug torque on all the wheels, but I suspect probably my front hub got loose because I really didn't have much drive time on it since building this axle, so sometimes as the bearings wear in, you have to readjust them. It's not a big deal. Problems with the body lift were the fan shroud needed to be cut pretty heavily on the bottom. It was getting into the fan. That's because I'm running a big, it's got the big diesel fan on it. If you're running the smaller fan, probably not an issue. I ran into no issues with breathers or lines or cabling or anything like that. All cab linkages are fine, brake lines are fine. So definitely worth the inch. I think it's kind of a nice way to go. I'm going to be adding a new set of front springs at some point once I save up enough money at this new job, because that one is de-arched a lot more than this one is, so the truck sits all lopsided. It's more of an appearance thing, but it really is starting to annoy me. So I'm going to go with the Tough Country 4-inch Easy Ride HD springs. I'll probably order them through Off-Road Design because I can't find anybody cheaper. I found a used set on Craigslist, but the guy wants like $400. He said they'd never been driven on, but I mean, at $400 I might as well buy them from a company, and then I can get my warranty and everything. So that's where I'm going with that. I may or may not take out the easy inches in the front. If I do that, also we're going to be putting the stock sway bar back under the truck, see if we can make it handle a little bit better on the street. And the Dana 60 and 14 bolt that I have out back are gonna go in this truck at some point. I'm just not sure when. But that's kind of where she sits as of right now. Thing ran perfect, like I said. Good water temperature the entire time. Great oil pressure. I got 18.4
or 19.1 miles per gallon on the trip. That's mainly doing mixed driving, mostly highway, kind of 55 to 65 range for miles per hour. But I think for a lifted manual transmission truck that's got the aerodynamics of a brick, running 37-inch tires on heavy beadlock wheels, I'm really happy with 18 miles per gallon. I'd love to see over 20. You know, the turbo, they claim you get more miles per gallon. I don't see how that's possible, but that's what they claim, so we'll see if it gets any better. But I'm really happy with that. Again, running 373 gears right now, so on the highway the thing is not loud at all. It's really nice, actually. My Army truck had the 1-ton axles in it, and that thing on the highway was screaming. It was horrible. You couldn't hear yourself think. So 373 should be good. Ideally, what I'd like to do is put the 456s in, and then get a Ranger overdrive or an NV 4500 with overdrive, and see really what kind of mileage I can pull out of this beast. But the other nice thing was, so we calculated the mileage when we got there. We filled up the tank, four-wheeled all day, and drove back home, and the needle's still like maybe an eighth of a tank down from full. So the thing, like, just on the trails, it just idles along, barely using any fuel. It was great. Really happy with the swap. So that's kind of where this truck's going to be left for now. As I'd mentioned in one of my other videos, I took a job down in a city, a pretty big city, and this is not coming down there anytime soon. I may bring it down for like a couple weeks or something, but it's not going to live down there. It's just, it'd be too much hassle trying to deal with parking, and you know, driving it in the city wouldn't be fun at all. So I'm just going to utilize the public transit. It's a lot easier for that kind of stuff. But yeah, probably the last update for a good while on this truck, just because of that situation. Not going to be in an area where I can really utilize it, and it's probably going to sit, maybe do some Home Depot runs or stuff for my dad, but not very much usage. We did add some seat covers, which are kind of nice. Kind of getting everything dialed in. Then we're going to do color matching everything, and sound deadening on the floors, and welding and things like that. You know, you gotta, I kind of like to test fit everything before I go through the final sequence with it and making it all nice. The other thing too is we're going to off-road this truck, so it's got to be nice, but it's got to be durable. I can't be redoing it all the time. So, glow plugs. I don't think we're going to need the advance. It's only about like 70 today, but even still. Let's check that out. Okay. That's it. 6.2 humming away. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. There was one guy that asked about the U-joint for the rear. They make these things called conversion U-joints. Some people call them bastard U-joints, but the basic way that it works is that you have a 1350 on one side and a 1310 on the other, and you simply put in that U-joint and it'll mate up there in the back. That's if you're running a half-ton drive shaft like I am. If you're running the 3/4 ton or the 1-ton drive shaft, you'll already have the right U-joints. I'm also running a conversion joint up there at the yoke because now I'm running a 1350 yoke off the transfer case. If I was to do it all again, I would have done 1350s and had a heavier duty drive shaft made up. But that just isn't how things worked out this time. So thanks again for watching. Have a good one, and good luck with your project, guys.